Simon, thank you so much for your time. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
It's interesting because TV and film in the sci-fi thriller horror world, it's always been around, but I feel like in terms of creativity, in terms of popularity, everything is heightened now. What
Mm.
is your mindset working on something like Invasion, given what I just said, that everything's bigger and more heightened now? It's interesting.
Yeah, I do think it's bigger and more heightened now. I, I think the thing I've always tried to do with Invasion is keep it heightened and the action, the visual effects, and all of that be as epic as the things that we're now used to in movies and television, but also keep it intimate, to keep it about the characters, to make the emotion really real, to live with these people, have these people feel like real people experiencing a real alien invasion. That is, to me, the kind of secret sauce of the show, is that for all of the big action and scale and scope and visual effects and aliens and you know, crashes and explosions and battles, you're with people you care about. And when I was growing up, it was sort of a golden age of science fiction movies, is like late 70s, early 80s. You had Star Wars, which obviously is the North Star for us all. You had the Star Trek movies, you had Terminator movies, you had Back to the Future, you had all of Spielberg's movies, E.T., Close Encounters. They were really inspiring because they were character driven, and then they were also just fantastical.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect segue to my next question. It's almost like you knew what I was going to ask. I don't know. Some kind of every time like a show comes back for a new season, whether it's a season 2 or in this case season 3, I feel like it's always going to be, from a creative process, a two-headed monster. Because one, kind of like what you said, it is continuing the storylines and the character development, right? That's its own thing. But then it's always, you know, talking to your writers and everyone, how are we going to make it bigger? How are we going to make it better, right? Because everything's got to get bigger for a new season. How do you balance those two things? Because those are two completely different things. They're part of the recipe, but it's interesting, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that one thing that helps is that when I conceived the show and when we started building it, I really was thinking not just about the first episode of the first season, but was projecting out multiple seasons. And this was the season I always had imagined, and we have done, that this was the season where all of the characters of these parallel storylines from all over the world would collide into a singular story. And so that structural thing that is different this season gave it more stakes, gave it more emotional complexity, took all these characters that, if you've been watching the show, you clearly care about these characters, took all these characters and threw them into something that's different from everything we had before. And this is the first season that has a really singular driving mission to it. The previous seasons were really more about survival. And this season is really about battling the aliens.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go back to what you said super quick about, you know, the fact that it's one of those things where, like, in the 70s, a lot of sci-fi content out there. I'm a filmmaker as well. I'm curious what you think about this. At some point, we all started just as fans, right? Of like going to see things. Do you feel like you watch things completely different now after you made them, so to speak? Because I always think about that. You know what I mean? When I was like 12, 13 movies I saw, maybe if I was like making films back then, I would have something different. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know, because it's like I still, when I sit down to write or produce, or even the couple times directed, I'm in my mind are the movies I grew up on. I feel like the movies I grew up on are in my DNA now. They are as much a part of me as anything that happened when I was in high school or with my parents. Any formative seminal thing that happened in my life. You know, I feel like I learned how to be an American by watching Top Gun. I feel like I learned how to, you know, be a kid struggling with family stuff in E.T. So there's aspects of it that are just in us now. But I'm also still a fan. So like I go to see movies all the time and watch television all the time and get really inspired by it in the same way I did when I was a kid. And I don't feel any different about it now. Like I go to see a film, and if it's good, I leave and I'm just buzzing and inspired and want to write stuff down and want to be better. So yeah, I think that hasn't gone away for me in all this time.
There could be a whole podcast series just on that kind of conversation, right? About like before people start making things. It's interesting. I can't wait for people to see season 3 of Invasion on Apple TV Plus. Simon, it's an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it too.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.